Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to A4W Live's Google Hangout with Mike Jordan. You may know him from his recently released song, Dear Native Youth, or his album Sometime After 83. Along with being a talented hip-hop artist, he travels to schools and communities to speak to youth tackling important issues. I'm Laura. I'm with A4W Live. And before we start getting to some of the questions, I've got a couple of things to note. So if you have any questions for Mike, take a look at the top of your screen. There's a little it almost looks like a Rubik's Cube, a little graphic with some squares. Click on that and you should get some a tab at the side of your screen where you can submit questions. Also, if you're liking what you're seeing or maybe not liking what you're seeing, you can give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. There's a little rating system at the bottom of your screen. Let's get started and start asking Mike some questions. Just to start off, thanks again, Mike, for joining us. It's clear from your lyrics that music has had a really positive impact on your life. Could you just talk a bit about how you discovered music, how you got into creating music?
For sure. So growing up on the Turtle Mountain Reservation, music definitely influenced my childhood, as my mother would constantly have music on, constantly plays in some classic rock and things like that. And she would clean the house. And I grew up in this really small trailer house. And every Saturday she would crank on the tunes and she would just clean her house. And I knew that it put a smile on her face. So I knew that there was some sort of power behind music. And as I started going through some trouble and things like that, I really started indulging into lyrics and noticing lyrics were kind of saying the things that I was feeling. So I knew there was definitely some power behind that as well. Yeah, definitely love music and love what it's doing for not only our generation, but the younger generation. It really helps us bridge the gap between us and the youth.
What Okay, great. So does music provide like an escape to some of the things that you've struggled with, or was it a creative outlet? Could you address that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, to, I guess, go back to what you were saying as far as it being escape or it being a creative outlet. Growing up, it was definitely an escape because there's a lot of things that were going on at home and outside of my home. So I definitely put my headphones on like as if it was armor, like some sort of protective gear. And even when I was going through some anxiety and depression and things like that, kind of being afraid of the world as I was turning into this reclusive kid, I would put my headphones on in the most normal settings, like going to the grocery store or walking to class. I would put headphones on and just be smiling everywhere I went because I was always rocking some good music and just put me in a good mood. As I started getting better and really dipping into music, it was a creative outlet for me. So now it's more of a creative outlet for me and not an escape, more of a ride to on the roller coaster, I guess you could say, just really enjoying it and letting it create your day. Basically is what I'm saying.
Yeah, neat. There's a line in the title track of your album, Sometime After 83. It's about Happy Father's Day, and it stood out to me. You mentioned that was one of the hardest songs you've ever written, and I'm curious why. Why was that so difficult, and why was it so important to write that song?
No doubt. I mean, it was basically 20 some odd years of dealing with that issue of growing up without a father, and me for the first time really speaking that issue that was something that I was going through in my life, like being rejected by my father. And the story is, as I was telling in the song, that my grandma thought it was a good idea for me to reach out to my father on Father's Day, but only come to find out that he didn't want anything to do with me. So that was something that I dealt with definitely growing up, and writing was a creative outlet for me to speak about it. But not only that, it's also I wrote it for myself, but knowing that the power of what it could do for others, as a lot of people I know, especially on my reservation, go through the same thing growing up without a father. As I just came back from performing at my hometown reservation in the Turtle Mountains, and also the Dunseith Public School and Dunseith Day School, I went and visited those schools as well and talked about that song. And I always ask a question because I want to know if my stuff is relevant. Is there anybody in the audience who grew up without a father or doesn't know their father? You would not believe, let's just say for an instance, in an auditorium, 300 plus kids, more than half of those kids put their hand up. So it's very relative. And sorry to go off on a tangent, but I just think it's important to talk about. Last time when I was saying that, I always see a kid in the audience as I'm making these connections with these kids. I see them and I really look at them and let them know that, hey, it's going to be okay because I understand what I'm going through. There was this kid I saw in the audience who's way far away from me. I saw him just losing it and bawling. I no joke, after that song, put down my mic. I didn't drop the mic. I put it down. And I went up to him and I gave him a hug and let him know that everything is going to be okay. So that was something that I had to do, not for just me, but for him and for everybody else who's suffering from that pain. So definitely a strong song that I had to write about. And, it feels good to get it off my chest, but the pain is still there for sure.
Yeah. When you go to schools and communities, what other issues do you talk to youth about?
All the things that I know about, such as suicide. I went down that road as I was going down, just having a rough time in my life and carrying all this pain. I didn't know how to deal with it. At that point, I kind of stopped listening to music and started getting into alcohol and drugs. And I went to a really dark place, and I attempted suicide multiple times, and one time almost was successful. And thankfully I wasn't, as I'm here today speaking this message. So when I speak about it, I'm real about it, and know that I know what those dark thoughts do to you, and I know what the light at the end of the tunnel will do for you also. So that's one of those things that I talk about. I talk about alcoholism, something relative to my life and relative to the kids' life that I speak to. I've lost two family members, an uncle, a great uncle, and now he's kind of like my stepfather. He's my little brother's dad. You could check out that track called One Day at a Time on the Sometime After 83 album. But he right now has cirrhosis of the liver as well, and he's not doing very good. Something relative. And I also just talk about finding yourself and not following the path of anybody else, and loving your pain even though you go through it, and move forward and just love yourself and go for a creative outlet. So
when you talk to kids and when you go visit them, what are their reactions? What's the response that you get when you talk to youth?
The response that I get from them, or the response that I get?
You can say both. That would be, from them. Like, how do they respond to your music and your messages? And what does that mean to you? And what does that inspire you even more?
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify, but for the kids, I mean, walking into those schools, it's like they treat you like some sort of like celebrity, right? These kids see you and they kind of hide and they're like pointing like, oh, that's Mike Jordan if it's a school I know, or who is that guy? And then once I get really personal with them, shake their hands and hug them and have real conversations with them, then it starts to get a little bit different as they treat me like I'm their brother or something. So that's really cool. And I know that I'm definitely inspiring a lot of them that I speak to, because I have an open door policy with meeting these kids. My Facebook messenger is open. My email is open. And I talk to kids on a daily about them going through something, and just telling them that I'm here to help them out in any way that I could. And if I can, I definitely encourage them to go seek professional help. But I definitely have a lot of good messages. Parents too will reach out to me and say, thank you so much for reaching out to my kid. But as I'm doing these sort of events, I get home and I'm so exhausted, but really my wheels are turning constantly, and I'm just feeling like I'm doing the right thing. And I just write my thoughts, and I have a journal with me all the time, and I write about these conversations I have and just everything that it does for me. But no joke, if I'm in a car by myself doing a gig, to be honest, I'll cry for a while, because it hits me so hard, because it's a lot to relive a lot of these situations, but it's also good just to get it off your chest. So it's just like really good, happy tears. And I'm man enough to say that I cry and that it feels good. So I'm definitely getting inspired by these kids. They're the reason why I'm still going. I'm so busy with my schedule. I shouldn't be doing music right now. I should be trying to take care of my family, but it's just something that I have to do, and something that my wife understands. And it's just great. So inspiration all around the table. I know for me, but some of the kids that I talk to, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Is that where the inspiration for Dear Native Youths came from traveling and from meeting young people and talking to them about the struggles that they're facing? Could you just talk a bit about where that song came from?
Yeah, so Dear Native Youth, actually, I came in late in the game when the hashtag came out and became really popular. And to be honest, I felt left out, because I already seen all these hashtags coming out, and I was just obviously so inspired by it. And I was like, oh, bummer, like it already kind of came through. So I was like, I'm going to write a song about it. So I was actually asked to be a part of this mixtape called The Last Stand mixtape, with all these great Indigenous artists, hip hop artists, and spoken poetry artists. Just to throw out some names, Tall Paul, Frank Wan, who are all part of the Dream Warrior management company that I'm with. Tanea Winder, my manager. Superman's on there. Inez Jasper. I mean, there's just so many names that I'm definitely missing, but a lot of good people who are doing great things. But I just have all this stuff that I carry, and when I hear something and get inspired by it, there's no stopping me from writing a song that means a lot. And honestly, when it's a heartfelt song like that, if I don't see tears on my sheet of paper, I'll throw it away, because if I'm lying to myself about it, I'm definitely lying to the youth about it. So when I put something out there, my heart is in it. So it's definitely a strong song, and I knew it was going to be, and I knew it had to be, because I released my Sometime After 83 album back in October, and it's been forever since I released a song or a video, and people have been hitting me up and saying, come on, you got to put out some music. But I don't know if I've mentioned, we just had a little baby girl who's now 5 months old. So it's really hard to do music, and I'm really lucky that I get to do it whenever I do. So I knew it had to be a strong message. So
yeah, it is a really inspiring song. And if anyone who's watching hasn't seen the video, we've posted it on our Facebook wall. It's on YouTube. It's great. I think Sometime After 83 is a really interesting album. It's very catchy, and it's full of really fabulous messages. I'm curious, as a music fan and a listener of many genres and types of music, who inspires you? Who did you listen to growing up? Who do you listen to now? And who sort of influences the music that you create?
Yeah, that's a loaded question.
Sorry.
No, that's okay, because there's just so many things that inspired me growing up.
Right.
Definitely my mom obviously listened to classic rock, and Led Zeppelin, Bob Dylan, Jim Morrison of the Doors. I mean, like those kind of bands, and like even Michael Jackson, I was definitely influenced by him, just because when he did that thing that he did, he just turned on. So I kind of looked perform from him, and just like when I found hip hop, definitely was something that I knew it was. It just hit me in the soul like no music has done before. It's just the way you say things and just fighting against the system. And then, you know, I was getting into mainstream rap music and was introduced to like Atmosphere, the Minneapolis underground hip hop movement at the time, and went to a couple of those shows and knew that those guys were saying, they were telling stories that were not like the ones that you heard on the radio about money, cars, and things like that. It was more about real things. And I realized like that's kind of what I wanted to do. And no joke, as a kid, I used to look in front of a mirror with a comb and pretend I was like performing and rapping and things like that. So I was destined to do this for sure. But there's just so many artists that I'm influenced by. Slug from Atmosphere, Brother Ali, definitely that whole movement. But even artists nowadays like Frank Wan, watching him doing what he's doing, and my brother Tall Paul with the Dream Warriors management team as well. Definitely inspired. So Frank, I was really looking at the things that he was doing. I was like, man, I really want to do what he's doing, and really loved it, and ended up did a show with him, met this gal named Tanea, who is now both of our managers. So we're managed by the same people, and we have conversations on the, once a month or so, if not more than that, just connecting and talking about our experiences. And those are people that really push me. So I wish I could name all these artists that I'm influenced by. Again, I'm probably missing a bunch of them, but music in general, but life in general too. Music is definitely an inspiration, but life all around us. When I write, I don't write listening to music. I write being observant as people are going on with their normal days. I'll go to a park and watch people, and just sit outside in the silence, listen to the birds. I know it sounds kind of cliche, but it's real life experiences that influence me.
Yeah, definitely. No, that was really interesting. Thanks. We've got a question from a viewer from our in-home audience. I'm not quite sure what to call it, but I'll just take a look here. Okay, so the question is, do you have any advice for someone who wants to get into performing music?
Oh yeah, good question. I kind of get this question a lot when I hang out with the young kids. It's finding yourself first before you start doing any sort of music, because you have to know who yourself is. And I'm all about being true to yourself and doing something different, finding your creative outlet, and just really go for it and write, and don't be afraid of anything. I've learned to not listen to anybody else when I'm doing my thing, just to go from the heart. And that's what's been helping me out a lot, is just doing a lot of these things that I do based on feeling. So go with your heart, and don't be afraid of anything. I had stage fright, believe it or not. And that's one of the reasons why I started performing hip hop, because I was scared to jump up on stage and do it. But now it's just something that I'm fearful, that I used to be fearful of, that I tackle that fear. So go for it, man. I'm a 31-year-old hip hop artist, and I'm really happy with where I'm at and what I'm doing with it. And there's actually a decent income in what I'm doing. Not a lot of people get a chance to do that and actually get paid for what they have passion for. So find yourself, follow your heart, and don't be afraid.
Awesome. So another question, I think this might be one of our last ones, maybe our last one, or set of questions anyway. When do you have time to write? Like, do you take a little bit of time here and there to write? Because you mentioned you do have a young child and you're very busy and you have work and you travel. When do you take some time to just get the lyrics out and start to create some songs? And when might we be able to expect something new, a new album, new EP, something?
Yeah. To answer your question, nowadays, unfortunately, never. Just because being at home with the little one, I would never take that away for sure. But it's definitely tough to write. but it's now I'm finding a lot of inspiration in actually creating my own beats. I've never done that before. Definitely wanted to do it, get into production. Always got beats from other artists, but now that I'm producing my own, I'm finding a lot of inspiration in that. And I'm coming up with some really cool, catchy stuff. And now I'm trying to, when the baby's taking naps and she's on my lap and she's just hanging out, I got a notepad. I used to write with a computer, back and forth, I guess. I used to write with a notepad. Then I got into writing with a computer. And now I'm back to writing on a notepad. And every chance I get, I walk around with this notepad and I grab it when I have an idea. So I'm actually working on new music right now. I got 2 really cool songs that I made production for. Just got to fine tune them. I've already got the idea and the concept of what the song is going to be. I just need a few hours to sketch them out and make a great song. But I got one that's really kind of really Mike Jordan-esque, I guess you could say, really happy, upbeat. And then I got one that's really, really strong with the message as well. So yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, that's exciting. And you mentioned you might be able to play some music for us tonight.
Oh man. You know what, actually,
do you think you could do that?
You know what I'm gonna do for you and me, and I'm gonna do that instead. So give me just a second while I go get her.
Okay. So just everybody, your horses for a moment. Oh, hey.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
This is my daughter, Portland.
Hi, Portland. Hi.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Oh, she's so cute.
She's got her Batman shirt on today.
Nice.
But I don't know, I thought it was really important for everybody to see her just because she's definitely my inspiration and the reason why I do a lot of this stuff and why I feel in my heart that the youth is so important.
Yeah.
Because this is why.
Oh, jeez. She's adorable. She's very sweet.
Thank you so much. She's awesome. She's a great baby.
Nice. Well, we got a comment, not a question, but just from someone who says she's so cute. She's very
awesome.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm a lucky guy for sure.
You are, yeah. Well, I think you should maybe record. Here's I'm proposing something. Maybe record that acoustic version of Dear Native Youth and send it to us, and we'll post it and share it on social media. How about that?
I think that sounds like a great idea. We'll get to it right away.
Nice, and the sound will be great, and it'll look awesome.
Okay.
Perfect.
Miigwech, so much for having me a part of your the Google Hangout. I appreciate everything you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was really interesting and such a great time spent on that. So we'll wrap things up here. My name's Laura again, and thanks so much for tuning in. That was Mike Jordan, and we'll post some clips or the whole thing online after. Thanks for listening and watching.
Thank you.